For this video recording, I will be demonstrating how to draft on your Concepts app what we have in front of us. We're just drawing a simple floor plan, just the four walls. We won't be adding the door at this time. And then also we're going to be drafting a piece of furniture. So we're going to use a sofa. And then we're going to create the elevation view with just the back wall and the sofa and adding some floor trim. So something like this will be your finished product. If I turn off a few items, your finished product will look something as this. As you see over to the right side, we have quite a few layers set up. So at this time, if you like, you can set up your layers along the way. You want to have walls, trim, furniture, dimension layer, a text layer. Of course, we're going to have a guides for our guidelines. And then also we're going to set up our concepts. So starting out, if I was to go ahead and just turn off a few things, walls, my walls disappear. Dimensions, my dimensions disappear. At this time, I'm just going to take a moment and move this drawing out of the way so that it looks like I have a fresh drawing ready to start. So you're going to open up your Concepts app. You want to have your artboard set to 17 by 11 in landscape. I want to have a grid on, so let's turn on our dot grid for our grid type. Our background is just a plain white background. And then here for our measurements, 1 inch equals 24 inches for that drawing scale. Let's make sure that, there we go. Once it's set, we can X out. We want to begin on our first layer. We have some measurements that is found for you, and I kind of penciled them in here at the top of our screen. So our overall floor plan is going to be a 12 by 15. So having your wall layer set up, we want to go ahead and create our first line. I'm going to draw with my pen. I'm going to go ahead and set my capacity. Remember our density of our line. Remember our walls are heavy border lines, right? So we want to have that in there. So about 52, 53 inches is good for me. Then from there, I want to have my pen set at 100% so I can have my straight lines. I want to turn on, under my precision, we want to have our grid turned on, our snap, and our measure tool on. And creating our first line anywhere, just going to begin to draft a line. 15 feet is really 180 inches. But if I drafted my line and I go ahead and choose my arrow, which is my select tool, and select that line, I can press and hold on the measurement and my numbers box should come up for my keypad and I can just type in 15 feet. And then my line will jump to the size it's supposed to be. I'm going to select this line again, being on my arrow tool, and I'm going to select copy, which is the second icon, the two pieces of paper that's between your paper clip and your lock. I'm just going to draft this line down, just dragging it down with my pen or my pencil. So now I have this line copied. That is one way to begin to draft this. If I just go ahead and delete that, I'm going to draft the other side to show. Going right over to my pen tool, I'm going to draft my next line downward. And then also, again, select it, press and hold on the number, and type in 12 feet. And I can just line this right up. If I go to the corner so I can select and draw this blue circle around both lines, I now have selected both of the lines. I can copy them by clicking on the copy icon and with pen or drag that out. Using my mirror tools next to the trash can, play around with them both until you get in the right direction. And then with your pen or finger, move that into place. So now I've created my rectangle or square, 15 by 12, 12 by 15. If you have a guides layer, you want to turn on your guides, and then let's draft yourself another line. You can change your line color or even the size if you want. I'm going to change it to just a light color and zoom in, and I'm going to create my guideline because this is my interior. So I want to give it an exterior walls. So I'm going to draw a line anywhere. Uh-oh. Here we go. Now I already have some things on this layer, so I'm just going to move them out of the way. Okay, and I'm going to draft this line here. Drawing it down, I want to select it and make it 5 inches. So it's a small line, zoom in, and I'm going to select it again and just copy it. And then from here, select it and move it to the outside of my drawing. Select it and I'm just moving it anywhere. And then I also can select it and copy this. And I can turn my rotate on at the bottom of my screen, scale off, and with my finger just turn this around and rotate it. And then copy it again, so now that I have 2 of them that are horizontal. And then once again, move them to the outside of my square here. So now I have went ahead and created my guidelines that are going to, undo, that are going to help me draw my exterior walls. So going back to my wall layer and changing my pen back to the color and the size that I already had, I can now draw in my exterior wall. So we're just going to zoom in here to the end of your guideline, and you can draft up in one direction and back in another. And I'm going to do that all the way around, right at my guideline. Use your slice tool to go through and clean up your lines that ran over. Or you can just use your arrow select tool and select the line and delete it. So now we have our shell of our walls, right? From here, I would like to draft my sofa. So we see in our direction that our sofa is 86 inches long and 41 inches deep. So again, we're going to draft a simple rectangle, but we're going to decrease our line weight because our furniture is medium line weight, right? So we want to show depth of drawing. So again, just draft yourself a line. Select the line, press on the number, and type it in, 86 inches. And then we can draft a line in the opposite direction. And we had 41 inches deep. Now you can, again, change the measurement, or you can be precise with your pen or finger when you're dragging your line down to be sure to stop at the 41 inches. Joining those lines together using my arrow, which is my select, I'm going to select again the corner, and we're going to copy this. And then we're going to click our mirror tools to give our rectangle. Now we said, and you can just remove any of these measurements by just clicking them with your finger. The arms of our sofa is 4 inches wide. Using your select tool, we're going to just select, let's start on the left side. And then we're going to press copy. As you drag, you see a measurement. On my screen it says 23 something inches. While it's drug out, I'm going to press and hold on that middle measurement. Took too long. To go ahead and bring up my measurements box. We want to be on the X as your offset. As you can see on my screen, it is distorted, so I can fill in X. So I'm going to type in 4 inches so that it copies to the correct side. Now it may move out of place. You can slide it down. Or you can, as you can see here, for me, I'm just going to drag too. So there are options. I'll show that again. If you want to copy a line and move it a certain distance, copy. You're going to press and hold on that middle dimension. If you want it to go to the left side, it is going to be on the x-axis. If it's going to the right side, it's going to be on the y-axis. So I'm going to type in my measurement at 4 inches. And let's do it for the left side. Again, select the line, copy, and drag it out, and just press and hold on that. And we want to again be on the y-axis on this time. Make sure it's even. Y-axis, and we're going to say 4 inches. And sometimes if I take too long, I find that it'll stop working for me. So I'm going to get to it. And as you can see, I did not go on my y-axis. I went on the x, so it went to the other side. So let's correct that. Copy, drag, press and hold on the measurement. Be sure I'm on my y and type in 4 inches. Boy, does it want to be... Oh, there it is, my 4 inches. So off just a hair. Oh, let's try that again. An old command. Another option that you can do is, you could have always taken this, copied this, and just drag it over to the opposite side. So there are options in using the program. From here, we had even the back of our sofa. I gave it a backing, and I even made the backing the same size, which is 4 inches. So again, I can copy, drag this down, and also give it 4 inches. So I'm just designing my piece of furniture. This part I'm going to let you play with and do how you feel. You can even maybe use the dot grid to help you draft in the sides for your seat cushions. I'm going to use my slice tool to clean this up. And this is what I want to have for the look of my sofa. Now we know our sofa sits about 3 inches off a wall. So I'm going to go back to my guidelines. And once again, draft me a simple line anywhere on my screen. And I want this line to be 3 inches. Now I can take my 3-inch line here, put it anywhere up against the wall, and then go back to my wall layer, select my sofa, and move this to meet that line. Now, your sofa needs to go in the furniture layer. You could have, as we saw in class, created your furniture layer and put the piece of furniture on that correct layer. Or once you've drawn it on the layer, we can always go and select everything that makes up your piece of furniture. And now we have it selected. You can use your pencil or your finger and drag it over to where it says furniture, and now it's on your furniture layer. So if I was to turn my furniture layer off with my eye, now you guys see that it's on that layer. So I'll show that again. If for any reason you accidentally have everything on the same layer, go back some more. Okay, so right now I have my furniture and my walls on the same layer. See, turn my walls off, everything goes away. But I want to make sure that this sofa goes on the furniture layer. I'm going to just zoom in, use my arrow select to go ahead and copy everything that I want. As you can see, I can move it with my finger. I'm moving all of that makes up my sofa. And I'm just going to add and hover my furniture, and then I'm going to release it. And then tap anywhere on my screen. So now when I go to my wall layer and I turn my eye off, my sofa is still there. But if I go to my furniture layer and I turn it off, now my furniture disappears. So that's how you move it to a layer if you have accidentally forgot to do it in the beginning. But this here is your floor plan with a piece of furniture. Now, we need to go back to that wall layer, increase our pen size, because now you're going to create an elevation. We're going to draft our line again. We know that this room width, or that wall width, is 180 inches or 15 feet. I'm going to go back and select everything here and just move it over for a second so this line can fit. Okay. The height of our room is 8 feet. Type in 8 feet. And then again, we're going to use the arrow select tool to copy the second icon next to the paperclip, mirror next to the trash can, and drag it in place. So now we have our elevation view. And then we can begin to draft the rest. We do have floor trim, so clicking on my trim layer, or you can create your trim layer. Now we're going to add trim. Our trim is 3 inches in height. I can draw myself another 3-inch guideline, or I can go to my guidelines layer, pick my little 3-inch guideline that I created for the back of my sofa, and copy it and drag it to my elevation view and put my marking there. Going back to that trim layer, now I can use my pen to go ahead and draft myself a line that represents 3-inch tall trim. Now I need to draft my sofa. I'm going to click on the furniture layer because it is furniture. change my pen height, weight, decrease it. Go ahead and begin to draft the sofa. So once again, we knew that it was 86 inches long. And then we have a height, top to bottom. It stands 35 inches tall. So again, I can drag my pen till it says 35 inches. Okay, give or take for myself. And then I'm going to copy by selecting it and create my perfect rectangle. Most things, rooms, furniture, starts off as a rectangle or some type of square. And then we just modify it from there. Selecting our bottom line here, we're going to copy this up to begin to draw on our arms. Our arms are 17 inches tall, so we can scroll till we get to about 17. Can kind of move that over. Then we have our seat cushion that's 15 inches tall, or at least where our seat stops. So I'm going to draft up so I get to my 15, or I can press and hold and put in that measurement, right? I think that's what I want to do. Press and hold, type in 15 inches, and I'm good there. Then I can also select and copy this in 4 inches. Drag it back because my arms are about 4 inches thick, remember? And then I can also copy this other side. If I just sit right on top of it, then I have my size there. And from here, zooming in, we can just go through and erase what we don't need. Cleaning lines up. We know our seat cushion, our arms go up to the 17 inches. Remember, this is a quick sketch. If you need to continue lines down, you can. A way to stretch a line down is to select it with your arrow. And where we have scale off, we want to click it so you can go to stretch, and we're just going to stretch it down. And the same here, I can stretch it up. At this point, you guys can make your sofa whichever look that you want. Again, you can draft some separate back cushions if you like. If you didn't want your sofa to have a full front, maybe that was the bottom of it. We know where the top is, but what does the bottom look like? You can do so. I'm going to even remove for this and say, okay, this is how my sofa looks. It may have looked large because remember I was zoomed in. But once you have that all set, we want to go ahead, select our sofa and move it. Let's stop for a second. Now remember, we don't want it to be on top of our trim. It needs to go down to the floor. So if we go back to our trim layer and we zoom in, we can use our erase tool We want to make sure it only says active at the bottom of the screen so that we can erase everything that represents trim. We can erase right over this furniture piece and nothing's going to go anywhere because we're only talking about the item on the trim layer. If I turn off my grid, I can clean my drawing up. So we should have something that looks like this. And I'm just going to move this up so that it can be even. When you're adding your dimensions, we're going to do the same for our dimensions. Click on the dimension layer or create that layer. Draft your dimensions out just like we know how to draft. We know our dimensions do not touch exactly to our corners. We're going interiorly. So you're just going to draft in your dimension strings. Remember, our dimensions sit more in the center. Create our tick marks in the same direction. We need to give a measurement for our height for the elevation view. You can still give a room height, a room width, even though we have it on that plan view, but we'll still call it out here. Turn down your pen so that you can put in your dimensions. You can write them in if you want, turning off snap. And we have 15 feet. Then we have our 12 feet. Then going to your text layer, if you scroll to the letter A in your drop down, or if you click on any of the pen, you can go to where we have tools and you can see where it says text. You would select that. And then go ahead and tap where you want to begin to write your text. We're going to call that plan view. Once you select done, it'll show up on your screen. You can put it in place. For this, we're just going to make some simple text. We'll talk about doing other things with our text soon. The next one is your elevation view. And here you have your finished product. You may also shade or crochet in your walls of your floor plan. So you can create for now a miscellaneous. And then go to miscellaneous layer. And then go to, again, selecting your pen. We want to switch over to fill, our fill tool. Let's practice using that fill tool. Change your color to a nice gray color for your walls. And I'm simply going to click and just do an outline of my walls. So I'm dragging with my pen, my finger, or your pen if you have that. And I'm just going to come down. I'm going to turn off my measure because it kind of gets in the way. And I'm filling my space. I'm going to drag over and push up. So I'm basically kind of going from corner to corner, just the complete outline of this rectangle and dragging down. Just tracing a line. And if you have any space that you wanted to refill, maybe it didn't take, you can go over it, or you can undo and fill it all in the way that you want it. If you missed anything, as I am doing here. Any mistakes, use your erase tool to erase out. And that is using that fill tool. Okay, now we have a finished product. Plan view, elevation view, fill tool. We have our layer set up, and we have now did a quick draft of a floor plan and an elevation view of a 12 by 15 room with a piece of furniture, which was our sofa.